Hey, welcome back to Happy Little Notaries. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Photo Chemist. I'm actually just playing around, and now that I have a working version that I've been slowly building out and getting to be what I want it to be, I'm learning how to use it. And I need to learn how to use it so I can make little videos that talk about all the different modules. Some of these things I put in here that I was like, this might do something good, this might not. But, before we dive into me just fiddling around with making a look on this shot here, two things. One, I made progress on turning OpenDRT, the OFX that I made that's only for right now for Mac, Apple. I successfully figured out how to build it as a Windows-based CUDA GPU OpenCL plugin. And it's currently being passed out to people on a private Discord server that I chat with about developing these tools and everything like that, and have been encouraging me and everyone pushing me to make a Windows version. So if this succeeds and it isn't a problem in any of the fundamentals, that means that this plugin, while already only being for Mac, is now going to be able to go through that same process and have a Windows version as well, a lot quicker than I anticipated, because I solved several problems very quickly and got it figured out. The other thing to note is I just kind of, and anyone that's gone to the website may have seen, there's a subscription-based membership program to my toolbox. It gets any tool that I've ever made or will make or update. These are the tools that I make for myself, and I don't have a support team. I don't have a testing team. I don't have a ways to make sure that it works for everybody, and that's why I'm not selling it like a normal person or a normal company. But I'm making it available to you. My wife told me I can't give it away for free, and so all the tools, one low price. And it's a membership thing, so you can pay. It's for 1 year, $47.34, and then if I do updates and you want it the next year, it's another $47. So across 10 years, if you think about the math, it's still cheaper than to Hanser. So there's that, and yeah, it's just a way to support me in making these tools, making these videos, and things like that. So there's links in the description that take you to the Photo Chemist and to that, but I just wanted to get some of that business work out of the way. So on the whole front, exciting news, very close, OpenDRT as an OFX for Windows soon, and then that means that Photo Chemist will come over to Windows as well. But let's just fiddle around. This is from a short film that I did with my family, which was a Rocky spoof. And I'm thinking about regrading it now with Photo Chemist and kind of going for something that feels in that same vein. So one of the things to note with it is this footage was not shot for Photo Chemist. It was not shot with a photochemical mindset in mind. And so a lot of the settings, the image may break. And I believe this was already conformed to, I had done a bunch of stills to Davinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. And so there are some issues with that as well. But I'm having that glitch thing that the nodes aren't showing up right. So this is really just a small tweak to exposure. I think I can turn that off for now. Sometimes, if you notice in the dark parts of your image with Photo Chemist or the technical DRT that there's glitches, that's because it's having a hard time with the negative numbers that are coming in, or very close to zero numbers. And sometimes just raising up your lift a very small amount to get it off that floor usually solves all that. But it's one thing that I've seen occasionally. So we kind of just have running with the presets that I've just installed and put in. And we're going to just try to fiddle around with the negative stock a little bit on this image. And mostly we're going to look at we're just going to play around. Like, what's happening here or what I'm doing is changing the width. And you can be like, well, this is hard to see. We're really working on the negative reds, trying to get some nice density. We'll probably fade out some of it as well. That's what baseline does on the negative side. The thing to note about the tools is that sometimes for the print side, because it's different than the negative side and you're working on negative, like baseline functions differently. You can see it's a red dye, but it's affecting different parts of the image because the image is inverted that it's actually handling this on, and that it's creating dye for. And that is just a nuance that takes a little tweaks, takes a little bit to get to understand as you're doing it. But yeah, I'm just playing around. Oh yeah, added in here, you can go here to, we're fiddling around with the look of here. So let's do transmission. So this is the image. What we see on the screen is yellow, is actually our blue dye. Our cyan is our red dye, and this is the light that is coming through that film stock, the printer scanner lights. So you can see if you go to projector power, the only thing that's affecting is our final image, but it's our printer lights that are affecting the light that's coming through. And so we can get a grasp for the adjustments that we're making, which emulsion layer they're being applied to. So if we're only working on the negative side, you won't see any change, only to the final up there. On the negative side, where we're fiddling with the red dye, you can see it's tweaking the hue shape of that. And if we look at the vector scope, you can see our hue or cyan, we can actually, sometimes it's just easier to zoom in on the vector scope. You can see if you've played with the Technicolor DRT, it does kind of that same thing where it's looking at this like little swoop-de-swoop. The noise in the middle, that's the grain that's being introduced into the image, but you can pretty much think when you're working with it, what's going on. You can be like, what's dark in the negative, what's light in the negative is the black part of your image, and what's light in the image, what's light in the image is the darkest parts of your image, and what's dark in the image is your brightest parts, because we're in negative world. It's fun. And you can see when you're working the green dye, you're really just working how that magenta line is going to respond to letting light through. And so this is the light that we see. And as you work through your dye colors here, you got to remember we're on a spectral continuum from like 380 all the way up to 780. So these left and rights, at a certain point, nothing's going to happen with, you can't go any farther right. Like 200 is way out of the spectrum range of visible light. So nothing is going to happen when you swing the red dye to the right. But if you bring this all the way down and in, that's when you're going to start getting an effect on your red image. And you can see how that's kind of just tweaking that right there. And left, you can go very far left on your red image and cover way more of the spectrum than you can on the left, because you're all the way to the right with your sitting here with 650 nanometers as your peak. So that's just something to think about. If you're like, this sigma right slider isn't doing anything on my red dye, well, it's because there's no information over there for it to do anything. It's when you start getting it closer and closer to 648, that's when you're going to start getting an effect to how it's overlapping the image. And the same is true when you think about the green dye. It's kind of in the middle. So you can go pretty far and wide with both of these, and you can see we end up with a murky blackish dye because it's covering all the wavelengths of light versus being more of a notch filter in the system. And you're just styling it and profiling it. And you can see on the final image up there what's happening. You can see where you're affecting things. This is also a good view. This view is also set up for, you can see your developed density. This kind of changes, but that's more for looking at like what the latent image, the activated metallic silver is. I've just color coded them so you know what you're looking at instead of having it just be grayscale, which is what it would be if at this point. But yeah, just playing around. And it is so fun. Like, the other thing is it's one of those things of looking at it and going, yeah, at the end of the day, I might not know how any of this works, but I can totally build and shape pretty much every aspect of how my image is responding to the light that is going through it. And it is really, really fun just to be like, no, getting the colors to be exactly what you want. So it's really good when you're doing look dev to pick images that have colors that represent things that you're going to see throughout the film, because you want to really see what's going on. Like if we jump to this one, this is a fun test image of that I like to play with my daughter, because it's like, I know what that, the fun thing with these images is I know what that little tyke's horse is. I know what those boots look like in real life. And so as I play around with the image and things, and we're just gonna maybe bring down highlights a little bit. When I play around with the image and things, I know what that looks like. I know what that red should look like, and then I know how to stylistically go wherever I want to go with that red. And so this is just pulling that look over that we were just kind of fiddling with. And we can kind of just bring that out. And so we got, what we have really good on the screen is we can see green, we can see blue, we can see red, we can see yellow, we can see a lot of solid colors, which is a good cue to what we're looking at. And you can do this with test charts and things like that. Just kind of pull up, getting a little bit more density on the opposite side of red when you pull up the baseline. But yeah, I'm still working through myself how to learn to talk about some of these settings and what they do to create a very nice stock and film stock that is appealing to look at. How best to get it to be what you want it to be, level density and everything like that. Fiddling around with minute little changes. The thing that I've learned with the HD curves, and I might need to just change how the math works, going more than like 5% off the map of some of the presets that I have set for you tends to put yourself out in a world of hurt. So like if you go crazy with some of these settings, it can really negatively affect your image. But I'm kind of liking how that grass is showing up right now. And this is just me, this is my preference. I don't know, you might have a totally different preference. We'll push down on the negative development and then push up. Go both ways. Right there. We'll fade and then this is just designing the features of things that are happening in the middle of the image. Put that saturation back in. And I need to work the next update. Once I get better and myself more accustomed to these tools and understanding what they work, I'm going to dial in some of the ranges on the tools so that it's like, wow, I could swing bleach bypass way up high. It probably never needs to go higher than, or tweak the math so that the controls feel natural, and things like that. Bring up the projected power. Just get us so we're not totally clipping out. Kind of just warm it up a little bit. Too magenta. I'm trying to get that like little faded faded feel to it. But yeah, just kind of playing around. I'm learning as I go alongside you. And yeah, it's going to be a journey. And I have compared this to things like Genesis. Like we can bring up Genesis right here and you can see what Genesis would do to this. This is Genesis out of the box right here. And yeah, it does a thing. But I mean, like I've been working on this look here for quite a bit. And so this is mine. I'm never going to be able to mimic Genesis because unless I can see Genesis negative stocks and what they look like, it's really hard. I could spend a ton of time dialing in this look in Chemist just using the negative side of things and then only be like, well, that doesn't make any sense because I'm looking at the final image, I'm looking at that final rendered image, and I'm just forcing the sliders to be something they shouldn't be to get what I want out of it. So unless I was comparing directly their negative stock and their pipeline and see and understand their pipeline in parts, that's one of the things you can do in Chemist is kind of break it apart in two parts because you can look at the scan negative and go, well, that's that, and that's going to turn into the final print. So that's kind of one of the things, like when people have asked, can you compare it and mimic it to Genesis? And the answer is really no, not at all. You're really just in your own little place, making your own little image, and you can take it for note and you can steer towards that, but that's, all up to you. And maybe we can take this tweak back. We'll go back to this image and just copy this back over and see what happens. A lot darker. And that's mostly, that's because we brought the highlights down there. But yeah, these things weren't shot with photochemical mindset in mind. If you do have test shots, that's going to be one of the things a future feature will update in Chemist is the ability to prep. There's going to be a button here to prep for LUT, so it'll automatically turn off grain and it'll automatically turn off halation, so you're not having those effects happen. I will say this though, I think my grain is better than Genesis, but that's just me. Halation, I'm close, and I think I have it beat on the performance side. But yeah, like you see like that, you can't bring that look over because this wasn't shot for it. So I can manage that by adding a node here, boop, and connecting this up. And maybe just tweaking this. Dimension wide, dimension wide intermediate to linear, and something like that. We'll just keep running like that. And I can tweak the image in and of itself, but it's never until you've actually, I'm just reshaping the image. And yeah, it's not happy. And yeah, with the look that was made, because it's probably too aggressive for this type of shot. Take some practice, because this was way overexposed and I was grading under, so you want a balanced image when you're doing the look dev. So a great place is not these little stylistically shot ones, but I use quite often in any of the look building that I've done for this in terms of the presets is my standard girl, perfectly well exposed girl at beach, girl in bathtub, and then there's also always where is Helen? Yeah. Helen and Troy, a good standby to see what colors are being rendered, so we can see if we were to pull from that grade we were working on, wherever it is, apply the grade, you can see, oh wow, we just need to update this to area right 4, I believe. You can see that grade that we were doing is way off the maps of a well-balanced shot when we're looking at Helen and Troy here. And so that's why it's kind of imperative to work with like a neutral-ish shot image in practice to understand the looks that you're developing. Or just and find shots within your footage that work, because you can see, like, yeah, this doesn't look good, but we can undo, and go back. And if we're just playing around with the default, like, these presets were set up on Helen and Troy. So I looked at Helen and Troy and considered what things look like, and then I compared those shots to my bathtub footage. Oops, daisy. I wanted to do that. Just want to copy the node because this is black magic, and then it changes the input, all that. So you can compare and contrast how things are working. Got contour, got all kinds of things going on here. What's going on with your image when you just bringing it over. From its happy place. So like that's the same same setup brought over to my bathtub grade, and it looks good. But that's starting with something that is neutral and easy to see, so you don't go off the rails, because otherwise you don't want to go off the rails. But yeah, definitely find some good balanced test images, test charts, so you can actually see what the colors and how they're rendering the densities and everything like that. Anyways, as a reminder, there's a link in the description. You can find out more about Chemist. Hopefully soon there will be a Windows version. I'm working on it. I have a system in place. There is a small subscription thing to get the full versions of all my tools on the website. It's just a way to support me to continue developing and taking time away from working on the short film that I'm supposed to almost have finished today. So slanting time away from paid work like a short film, like Red Connection, to do more development like this comes at a cost. And I'm glad for everyone that has supported and thrown a couple dollars that way. And I'm really, as much as I want to say I can't help and support in every instance, I do care, and I want to make sure that everyone has a good experience and can use these tools to the fullest extent. So have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video in sometime. Happy Little Notary Day.